and I hope everyone's doing well. For this month's professional development, we're going to focus on classroom routines, procedures, a little bit of classroom management, and some classroom setup. We are fortunate enough to be led by the master herself, Mrs. Jana Fesser. So after today's presentation, if you have questions, you can post them in Google Classroom. We'll use that like a discussion board. There will also be an exit ticket and another assignment that will go along with today's presentation. Those will also be posted in Google Classroom, and they'll need to be turned in through Google Classroom as well. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to Jana.
Hi guys, I hope you are all doing well and healthy and safe and enjoying your extended vacation is what my neighbors are calling mine. I was asked today by Michelle and Leslie to do a kind of a classroom management 101 procedures and stuff, things that I do that maybe can help you guys out next year in your classroom. Hopefully we get back then. So I'm just going to go through the slides. Again, if you have any questions, post them on Google Classroom and I will, or Michelle will, answer them for you. All right, so here we go.
Before you get too far into this, Jana, I just want to remind everybody that we'll also post a copy of her slides. So if you want these, you don't have to take a ton of notes as you go through and watch this video. We'll post the slides on the classroom as well.
All right, so I kind of came up with the top 10 reasons why I think I have good classroom management skills. I know I've been told that, mine's one of the better classrooms being managed and stuff, so I kind of came up with a couple things. I think I know why. I don't know, we'll see. First of all, I'll go through all these individually, but the first one, she's old. So it happens when you've been here a long time.
I'll be your laugh track.
Procedures, I have a lot of procedures that are set up from day one. We'll talk about that. I try to build relationships with my kids. My classroom setup is kind of just easy flow. I try to make them smile. There's no fluffy bunnies in my classroom, and we'll talk about that later on. Rules. Keeping them busy, voice and presence, and being prepared, as teachers being prepared. So here we go. All right. So my first disclaimer is this. I had this on here before Kenny Rogers died. So this is my whole disclaimer on that one. All right, so she's old and she's set in her ways. Guys, I've been doing this for 15 years now. You have a right to be stubborn. You have a right to be the boss of your classroom. You've earned that. You've gone through school, you've done what you're supposed to do. Make sure they know who's boss. I always tell my kids I've had 39 years of being stubborn. I will always win any type of battle you bring towards me, all right? My other one is sometimes change is good, but maybe not all the time. God bless the ones who do the flexible seating and all the new technology and stuff, but sometimes I really feel that old school is kind of the way to go. Think about it. Think about how well you learned when you were in school, especially us older ones. Straight rows all the time, not a lot of technology, doing a lot of pencil and paper. That type of stuff is really, I think, some of the reasons why I have success. It's less tempting for kids to get on their Chromebook or to get on another website when they're supposed to be on something. Or if they're in flexible seating, to sit there and goof off instead of where you can see them in a straight row. Just my opinion. No one to hold them, no one to fold them, no one to walk away. My ode to Kenny Rogers. I have not always been so, what's the word I want to say, laid back, I guess, nonchalant about a lot of things. When I first started, I was so shocking, fiery. I would get into arguing matches with kids, and my blood pressure would be through the roof. Probably about 6 years ago, probably when I became pregnant, I kind of just decided that it's not worth it, guys. Little battles like not having a pencil isn't worth it. And if you provide them a place to just say, hey, you know where the pencils are, well, then that's one less argument you have to deal with. I'm not saying that I still don't argue with kids. I'm not a saint. But I do have to say that there's times where they want to engage in an argument, I walk away. I'll turn around, walk away, or I'll say, yeah, you're right, and then walk away. I was flipping through Facebook yesterday, and this kind of came up as a meme or something on Facebook. It says, in life, it's important to know when to start arguing with people. Simply let them be wrong. Sometimes that might be one of the biggest lessons you can give a kid, is having them find out the hard way that they are not always right. Done this for 15 years, done this for 10 years, whatever. You usually know what's going to go right and what's going to go wrong in your classroom. So let them figure it out. If they think they will get the homework done before the end of class, let them sit there for 5-10 minutes. But when they don't, they'll figure out that you were right the first time. So maybe let them bite it a couple times before they figure it out. Maybe it's a learning experience, right? And be predictable. Guys, you can come into my classroom almost every day and you will hear the same thing. I'll meet them at the door. They know what they need. They come in. Up on my board is, this is what you need for the day, on top of me telling them when they come in. I'll stick my head in 2 or 3 times during passing period, reminding them what they need, making sure that they're not being goofballs. Then when I come in, they know as soon as that bell rings, I come and I take attendance, they should be ready to go. Does it always happen? No, but you can always remind them on your way through the classroom. They know that they need to have highlighters, they know they need to have pencils, they know they need to have their folder, their book, whatever. And they know they need to be sitting when that bell rings. That is something I drill in from day one. And so they should know that it's not going to change any day. It doesn't matter if we aren't doing notes that day. If we're having a test, they still know what they need, what's expected of them every single day. So you need to be predictable. Don't change it up willy-nilly all the time. All right? The next one, voice and presence. Be direct. If you want them to do something, tell them. Don't question, which is one of the ones down here. You demand it. Not in their face demanding, not pointing, right 2 inches from their face, but be direct. This is what I want you to do right now. You have no other choices. This is what you are going to do. Do it, get it done, so we can move on. So be direct in what you want done. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Like I said, when they walk in the room, I'm telling them 2 or 3 times during passing period, this is what you need to have. We repeat when tests are multiple times during the class period. We are always repeating procedures, repeating work, repeating questions. Not everybody's going to hear it the first time. So the more you repeat it, the more you write it on the board, more that you have it hanging in your classroom, you're covering yourself. And you can make sure that things are going to get done. Be confident when you talk. It doesn't have to be. Not everybody has a loud voice like me. Not everybody has that confidence that takes a lot of time to just develop. But if you sit and you act like you know what you're doing, they're going to assume that you do. So be confident in what you do. Say it loud without a yell, which is kind of a fine line. And when you are mad, I've come to find that yelling is not the way to go. Maybe a little sarcastic tweak or a just turn around and walk away is always going to result in better results than you in their face yelling at them. Just my opinion. I like this one here, move and make them uncomfortable. You've seen cockroaches, right? Where you get close to them, they all scatter. Same thing with middle schoolers. Middle schoolers do not like you close. So the more you're moving, the more you're around them, the more comfortable they become with you and know where you're going to be and you're being predictable. But they also have less time to get in trouble with each other if you're always throughout the classroom. Now, I usually at the beginning of the year, I am up, moving throughout the class, up and down the rows. I stand in the back room sometimes and just watch from behind. I stand in the front of the rooms. I am always in contact with homework with them. I check to make sure their name is on the top of their work. I check to make sure they've done what I've asked them to do before they can turn it in. So I have trained them at the beginning of the year is to, hey, when you're done with your homework, you raise your hand. I'll come to you. Once I've okayed it, then you go turn it into the turn and try do your next assignment or whatever else you're supposed to do afterwards. But I'm always moving. Then, by the end of the year, when I might be a little bit more busier with track or whatever else I've got going on, I can have them trained to, I can be at my desk, they get done their work, they raise their hand, I'll either give them the signal to come up and show me the stuff, or I'll come to them again. Again, it's something that's just repeat, drilled from day one, and what I expect them to do. All right, so again, the closer you are to them, the more uncomfortable sometimes they are, which gets you better results, I think. Procedures, rules, way to do things, routines. Guys, they've got to be established on day one. They've got to be told every single day. These guys are middle schoolers. They are not going to always remember, usually. They should, but every single day, those expectations, procedures need to be reviewed. They know usually by November or December in my room, that this is what's going to happen if X, Y, or Z happens. So established on day one, I usually have a PowerPoint where I go through the syllabus, which I will have Mrs. White attach onto the Google Classroom, my syllabus, and my first day of school slides, PowerPoint, whatever. And it kind of just, we go through it and talk about things. I show them examples like, hey, this is how you go sharpen your pencil in the middle of class. This is how you will go and grab your folder and your highlighter and everything you need before you sit down on the way in. And I'll show you guys that here. We'll talk about classroom setup and stuff. I meet them at the door as much as I can. You will hear me say in the hallway to every single person coming through the door what they need, or I tell them hello or whatever. But they know, and a lot of times, a lot of them will just stand at the door until I tell them. If I'm talking to another teacher and they're coming in, they'll sit there and wait for me. That's what I like, because then I'm one-on-one contact with everybody as they come in through the classroom, so I talk to everybody as they came in, and they know what they need from me, along with it being written on the board. I write things everywhere. I mean, throughout my room I have things posted, FYIs, I have assignment boards, I have everything up on the board when you come into the room. I love things like this, where you can, this is what you need, this is what's expected of you, that type of thing. Agendas, they can't not know. I also have it posted to Google Classroom. Each week I take my lesson plans and I copy and paste. This is what's happened in the week of whatever. And it doesn't have to be, it's not a paragraph or anything, it's just 14-2 notes, chapter 17 test. That's all they need to kind of give them a heads up. So it's written about anywhere they can look, they're going to see something as a reminder. Some great ideas. Mrs. White and I went through yesterday, went through classrooms and started looking at things, and these are some things we liked a lot. So these are all found in our own middle school. So if you see something and you want to know whose room that is or whatever, ask on the Google Classroom. All right, the sign-out sheets and what to do when they're done, and of course the agendas and homework, focus wall, bell ringers, that type of thing. Those are great. Building relationships is the next reason I think I have a little bit of success. It always helps when you've been here a while. But I also get other ideas through surveys. I will have Michelle also post my beginning of the year, end of the year surveys on Google Classroom. But at the beginning of the year, first day of school, I have them fill out a survey. The survey includes things like how do they like to learn? Do they like online stuff? Do they like pen and paper? Do they like to take tests? Or do they consider themselves a good student? Do they do homework? And I tell them to be 100% honest, because that kind of sets me up to know who I need to be kind of watching for at the beginning of the year, and kind of helps me guide. Also is Who do you have as older siblings? I like to know families and have relationships that way as well. Tell them about yourself. Build your trust. Well, at the beginning of the year, with my Google Slides, I tell them where I'm from and how long I've been teaching and what I coach, what my favorite color is, that I like peanut butter M&Ms, whatever. I don't get so personal that it's awkward, right? So if you feel like it's something that probably shouldn't be telling kids, don't tell them. Don't tell them what your favorite bottle of wine is, or whatever your extracurricular activities are that are maybe school appropriate, whatever. But let them know a little bit about you. They always like to ask. And so maybe that is some way you can build relationships with students in your classroom. Be involved outside of school hours. I know this is hard for a lot of people, especially if you have kids and you don't live in town. But guys, I have a kid and I don't live in town, and I still find ways to be involved. I coach. I do the book for basketball games, volleyball games. I go to fine arts festivals when I can, if I don't have track. Be involved. Even as far as going like to the Sweet Corn Festival, I don't do the festival part of it. That makes me cringe. But I do go to the parade. And I can't tell you how many times you will see former middle schoolers, or even the middle schoolers you have, who are in the parade or who are walking by you and they're like, "Hi, Mrs. Fesser," you know, those things those kids remember. I'm not saying that you need to be Facebook friends with them. Don't be Facebook friends with them. In fact, my rule is I won't be a Facebook friend with you until after you graduate. Even I have a hard time with some parents. I draw a very fine line on who I am. I really don't even have Facebook myself, but who my husband's Facebook account is linked up with. You got to be very careful on that. So, but you can tell them little things. Your favorite color, your favorite drink, that's school appropriate. Those type of things. It's just something that can kind of build a relationship. I also want to say that I also tell my kids when I'm gone. If I know I'm going to be gone, I give them a heads up. Hey, tomorrow I'm gone. I'm going to be at my daughter's assembly thing. Or, hey, I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. You don't have to tell them what the doctor's appointment's for. But if they know that you're gone and you tell them what you expect them to be like when you are gone, I haven't had too many bad reports from subs. So just a heads up there. Not everybody feels comfortable doing that.
When you're able to tell them that you're going to be gone, though, it eliminates those couple of seconds of panic.
Right.
Because when they see
they know
a sub,
to come in and this is what they're going to do. Even if I have an emergency and I don't tell them the day before, I put it on Google Classroom. Not everybody checks Google Classroom, but the kids talk. They know that Mrs. Fesser, oh, did you hear Mrs. Fesser's not here? At least they know. It gives them a heads up. It's not a, oh my gosh, who's our sub? Who can, no. I will tell them, this is why I'm gone. Please be on your best. I expect you to be on your best behavior. And this is what you're going to be doing tomorrow. So they have no reasons to say, well, we didn't know you were gone, or we didn't know what to do. I always give them a heads up.
Well, and when you have subs too, and many of you do this, you overplan. You give the subs more to do than what they can possibly get done in the 45 minutes that they have with those kids.
Yes, I always make sure that there is more on my schedule than I would normally do. Even if it is something maybe not as educational as what you would have done if you were in the classroom. A word search, pop a movie in, whatever. Something that's going to keep them busy, something that's going to keep them entertained. If you know your sub and know how your sub works, maybe you talk with them. I know Mr. Bandy and I always had, we text each other back and forth. With our newer subs, they're going to be just kind of, you don't know them very well, but it helps them if you are over planning instead of underplanning. It helps the whole school as well.
One of the hardest things for a sub to handle is free time.
Yes.
It's already a difficult job coming in, not knowing the kids, not knowing the teacher, how the classroom typically runs, and then to expect them to manage a room full of kids with nothing to do is almost an impossible task for our
You're
subs.
setting them up for failure. And that's why we don't keep a lot of subs. We need to be better. I know when I go into some classrooms, there's some that don't even have seating charts. That, even if I know the kids, that's still something that needs to be established. You need to have it updated. If you have a kid that you've moved in the middle of the quarter, make sure you update that in your seating chart. On your lesson plans, write down a kid who's reliable, somebody that's not going to give you give us up a runaround. I always give 2 or 3 options in my lesson plan. These are the kids that you'll know you'll get a straight answer from. Those things. Just little things like that, I think, actually help your classroom management throughout the entire year. Because there's that sub-teacher relationship that they know that I will be contacting subs if something happens. Or I always tell them, if you can't get X, Y, and Z done, then you can expect that we don't have a review sheet for our test, or I'm not going to review with you for your test. You're going to be on your own. Those type of things. And they usually do a pretty good job of self-management. Remember what Mrs. Fesser said, or don't do that because we're not going to get to do this next week, whatever. So just again, it's building that relationship, letting them know when you're going to be gone. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody's comfortable doing that. But again, I think that's why I have decent sub-management when I'm gone. Let's see. Build relationships with families. Again, that kind of comes with the territory after being here so long. You kind of just start to know families, and you see them in multiple times a year. You see their friends as when they're, who the families are friends with and stuff. I always make it a point when they come in for parent-teacher conferences, when they bring their younger siblings or another sibling that I don't know, I engage in a little conversation with them. Hopefully that helps them to remind them, and when they become a 7th grader, oh yeah, I remember her. I remember Miss Fesser. She talked to me when I was in my brother's parent-teacher conference, in the hallways and at a game or whatever. Introduce yourself. Just ways of building relationships with families. I also, at the beginning of the school year than I do at the end of the school year, which is something I need to work on, is I send home positive notes. At the very beginning of the school year, for the first quarter and a half, every Friday, I pick 3 kids who I think have done quite well that week, or kids that have kind of turned it around. And I just write a little positive note. I have one that I just print out, and it's already got lines on it, and I just write a handwritten note. So-and-so had a great week in history. They got an A on their history test, whatever you want to put down. Keep up the good work. And I send it home to their parents. Again, something little. I've had a lot of kids come back and say, oh, you got me out of trouble this weekend, or whatever. So they come back and they do say thank you. So it's just like just 10 minutes of your time where you just write a couple notes, address the envelope, Donna sends it out. It's something that kind of builds that relationship with your families. Again, classroom ideas to make relationships better in the classroom. I know Mrs. Price does. You get to pick your greeting as you walk in, and ways to address people. I've always told my kids that I am not your mother. You will not talk to me like your mother in some cases. Sometimes they need that tough love. Instead of being told they can do whatever they want, there's that line where I know that I have to have their respect. So I like this too. And this is the advisory, little hoping that all your advisory kind of comes together as one big group, one big family. So I like that Miss Week still has that one up. All right, so classroom setup. My mom calls me a minimalist. I throw away anything that is not of value to me. Every time I move classrooms, I'm cleaning things out. Every year, I kind of go through my files at the end of each chapter, kind of like when they're taking tests and stuff. I'll go through my file for that chapter and say, oh, I haven't used this in a couple years, I'm tossing it. Less is more, I feel like, in my room. I do know that I have kind of a bigger room than some other people do, so again, I have that luxury of being able to kind of spread things out. But clutter kind of makes you feel bad. It kind of makes you feel like the room's smaller than what it is. So I kind of make sure that everything's just, if it's in here for a reason. So we'll go through the room here in just a second, and we can kind of talk a little bit more about that. Make entry and exit flow. I kind of have my room set up to where when they come in the door, they're able to get what they need on their way in instead of going to their desk, back to the shelf, back and forth all over the place. It's just one big setup, nice easy flow, and on the same way on the way out. Smell good, feel good. My room, I always have something going. I used to have Cincy's and plugins and stuff, but I kind of got feedback from my kids on my exit surveys at the end of the year that sometimes those things give kids headaches. So I started looking into things, and so I got a diffuser. My kids like to come in and guess what scent it is. They tell me, like, ooh, I like this one, ooh, I don't like this one. I've been called the vaping room. No vaping going on, but it is, again, another way to build relationships.
For the record, it's not just the kids that like to come in and figure out what scent
I've
it
had
is.
adults come in and just smell my room and then walk away.
I do enjoy that.
Lemongrass is always a big fan. Cinnamon, those type of things. They like it. Just, I think when your room smells good, people are a little more happier to come in. They want to come in. I love to be able to open my windows in the springtime when they mow grass. I don't know why. It's a happier feeling. But again, it's to your preference. Some people can't handle scents at all. But I have come to find out, though, that it's kind of a weird way to build a relationship. They like to play guessing games. So it's just something I've done, and like I said, the diffusers I think have actually been my best bet since I've kind of started plugging things in. And my diffuser shuts off on its own, so I have to remember to turn anything off. So that's anyhow. Keeping it clean. I can't handle a dirty room. I'm kind of a germaphobe, a little OCD maybe. So what I do at the end of every class is I give them a 2-minute warning. It's really like a 4-minute warning because I keep my clock a little bit ahead of the actual schedule. And I tell them, okay guys, you got about 2 minutes left. They know, and again, it's a routine I start at the very beginning of the year. At 2 minutes, they should be putting up their folders if they haven't done so already. They return any materials that they borrowed from me. They have all their stuff on top of their desk. All trash is picked up, and they know they won't leave until it's all done. This is A, make sure I don't have to pick up trash at the end of the day. And I don't have to go chasing kids down the hallway saying, oh, you forgot your Chromebook, you forgot your pencil, da-da-da-da. It's all up on their desk, it's ready to go. When that bell rings and I tell them they can go, they go. And just a little side note as well, I don't allow my kids to stand by the door. When they have that 2-3 minutes left of class time, everybody sits. If you're not sitting, we don't leave. So it's kind of a rule that we started, it was a procedure we started day one, where if you have time to talk and you have to sit somewhere. You're not standing, you're not rolling on the floor, you have to be in a chair. Again, just my preference. I can see everybody that way. I know kind of where, if there's a problem, where it's going to be at, so I kind of maybe mosey around those people more. That type of thing. When the bell rings, they wait for me. I dismiss them, not the bell. It's a little Mr. Mandy rule. But anyhow, so just little things that might help you out in your classroom. Maybe like a shelf with like baskets. I'm big on baskets and folder holders and trays and stuff. So go to dollar store, they're $1 a piece. Sometimes you get 3 for $1. Especially like in the summer, they have those like buckets. Those are things that you could be using from your classroom. If you have any extra money for your classroom expenses or whatever, think about getting something to organize yourself. This is a nice, easy way of making sure that if you have missing work or you want to return work, whatever, I like this idea. This is also a good idea. I'll show you mine. I have something kind of similar to that. So, do you want me to do a quick?
Let's do a tour.
Quick little tour. So let me turn on the light.
Before Jana starts walking you through just this bookshelf that I have that you're looking at right now, that's just another example of how you can build relationships and make your classroom feel more comfortable and more like a home. We do know we spend so much time here that it does feel like a home away from home. So she's got some different pictures of different places she's been, vacation spots it looks like, and it looks like some of her favorite coffee table books are there too. So those are just little touches that you could keep in your classroom.
And some of those books too, kids like to read when they are done with work, especially the kids who enjoy history. They'll come up and ask to be able to flip through those and stuff. They like to mess with all that stuff. They like to ask about places I've been, or some of those actually have come from former students. They send me postcards. So it's kind of nice to be able to still have that relationship with those kids. But anyhow, this is the front of my room. This is my turn-in trays, so my kids know that once I've checked to make sure their name's on it and they've completed everything and they just haven't done it halfway and said they're done and turned it in. They've done it the way I've asked them to do it. They know that according to their hour, they put their homework in that tray, and plus it keeps the papers off of my desk for the time being anyhow, so I can kind of organize that way. Over here I've got kind of a hodgepodge of things. I keep calculators because everybody loves to do math when they're done with history, so I keep extra calculators in there. I do have a pencil bucket. When I first started teaching, I would have been anti-pencil bucket. Bring your own materials. But I also figured out a couple years ago it's not worth that fight. So I do supply a pencil bucket. I use part of my classroom money to buy pencils. And I tell my kids when I'm out, I'm out. So start making sure you return, and that's one of the procedures at the end of the class, is if you have borrowed one of my writing utensils, you put it back. And then I have extra large erasers, because I don't know if you've seen some of the kids, but they need a lot of erasers sometimes. Over here on my board is kind of their what they need to know section. I have all the bell schedules posted, and that's not only for my kids, but for my subs too. They can always look over there and see. I have a did you know board. All the posters that are in my room, I'm a big fan of posters. And the reason for it is if they're not listening to me, maybe they're reading a poster on the board and they are learning something off that poster. I always switch mine depending on what unit I'm on. Again, it might be harder for some people to do that, but it's an easy way to decorate your room. And